Let's see if we can do this long enough and not fall asleep. So we're making some wrecks, and I just ran out of steam last night. So let's see if we can get something productive before we got to go to the salt mines. So we added the panel lining on here. I'm going to go ahead and do the lights at this point. I'm going to use the same color red. And let's get us mid-range silver. Let's do two. Well, I have these Viejo ones, but I hardly ever use them. Let's do the darkest one, which is Iron Warriors, and then we'll bring it up to this one, red. And we'll need, of course, black and white. Nothing is complete without black and white. And these brushes are way too finely detailed for this right now. I don't want to use really exclusive brushes that are really for like fine detail, unless I'm using them specifically for that fine detail. I don't want them getting worn out on things that aren't really necessary. Let's go ahead and do all the taillights. So we'll get some black here, which is, Jesus, thing's half squeezed. Ouch. There's a lot left in here. There's a lot left in here. It just doesn't look like it. And what's this? Red. We'll get a little bit of white on here. I don't know if anybody will tune in this morning, but I figured, well, this is a way to get on track. I was on very, very short time yesterday. I got home late from work, and I'm like, I need to do something positive. Let me do some painting after I ate, and then I crashed. And, a lot of it has to do with, do I have any caffeine in me, how tired I am, and is anybody watching? Is anybody interacting? All right, so let's get a little bit of black here with some red. And we're going to do all the tail lamps. And I know these cars are wrecked, so why do they even have lights on them? Well, somebody decided to mold them on them, so I kind of have to do my part. Not much to it. And some of these are make-believe cars. I have no idea what the heck this is. This is so make-believe that not only is it a four-door car, appears to be a four-door car anyways, the rear window is actually split in half. So maybe it's a six-door car. I don't know. The front of it is just some make-believe thing. I'm going to have to paint a grille because, it doesn't look like one of those electric cars. I don't really like the look of these electric, whatever you call them, cars. And one of the biggest reasons is I don't trust a car with no grille. It's just weird looking. I couldn't put my finger on it, and then I realized what it was. I'm like, oh, they don't have a grill. They don't have a way to, air to get in and cool the engine. I mean, it doesn't need it, but still, it looks awkward. This looks like the rear lights on a Jetta. And I'm actually going to go ahead and we're going to paint a grill on here too, because it looks weird. It looks weird to me. I need to remember that. Don't even try to do any painting on Wednesday night. Okay, that's gonna be better. And then the front here, I don't know what the hell we're gonna do. I don't know what we're gonna do. It looks terrible. It won't be when we're done. And if not, we'll just put that on the bottom of the pile. Okay, so let's do the grills on all the three vehicles. We can't count the four because there's only three vehicles here. I feel like you could be part of a caper. Well, I can't be part of an olive. A caper. Like the game? Like this could be part of like a, like a bank robbery. I guess it could. I mean, you could work that into the game for sure. The game's actually pretty decent. I mean, if you just kind of take and some I haven't actually gone and checked this out, but somebody said that in the rules that the author said that it was a what did he call it? A building block for other things. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's not realistic, but it's fun. A crime team planning a heist. Absolutely. Absolutely. I like games that are really complicated, but the reality of it is, it's a lot better to find something. I don't say better. It's a lot easier to find something that is too basic and add detail to it than the other way around. It is just hard for me to wrap my head around that sometimes. You want to get it going from the get-go. Um, I'm just wondering how many people that play this game actually play it exactly rules as written. I wouldn't have to change very many things. We added the whole when you do a flip, a random roll to which way you're facing, and I think that's about it. We haven't really messed with anything. I'm not messing with the point values. I really don't want to mess with the point values. It may not be perfect, but they did a pretty good job of trying to make it so that things are somewhat balanced. You said bank heist, and the first thing I think of is Grand Theft Auto 5. I haven't played that in so long. I haven't played that so long. I don't even think I got it when I had the one. I had it when I had the one, not when I had the X. I've never played it on X. Oh well, no point going back and playing it now. The new ones will come out one of these years. Thank you. Thanks for coming by. This is an unusual time for me on a weekday. I'm usually on the weekends for sure. Maybe a little later on the weekends, but I went to bed super early. I got yesterday was messed up. It's my late day at work, and I stayed later than I was expecting. Got home 8, and then the next thing you know, it's like watch some TV with a lady, and and the next thing you know, it's like 9 o'clock. I'm like, all right, I can do a show. No, I can't. I can't do a show. I would have had to make myself coffee, and then the next thing you know is I'd go to sleep. I can go to sleep with coffee, but I'd wake up like every 2 hours, having like the most problem-solving dreams ever. I'd just be exhausted. You find yourself walking for hours in the game. It weirded you out. Oh, hold on. Had to walk away from video games with Red Dead. Okay. You found yourself walking for hours in the game. It weirded me out. You know, I don't like Westerns at all. And I liked Red Dead Redemption. I played Red Dead Redemption, and I played the second one. I want to say I played Red Dead Redemption more than the second one. Um, you know, it's great that I get bored of video games because otherwise, then none of this would happen. But it's a nice distraction, and I do like games that are open ended. Like you walk by and like, there's a house up there. I wonder what's up there. Well, get your ass on up there and find out. You know, and sometimes you spoil some of the fun. Like you'll end up finding something you shouldn't have seen already because it was part of a mission on down the line. Or maybe you go in a house and you can't open a locker because you're not, level 27 or whatever that allows you, but at least you have the freedom to go in there and like, figure out what's going on. And the same thing with racing. I play some racing games, and my daughter's gotten into it too. But for some reason, the Forza that we have, the Forza Horizon, won't load up on the game. I don't know whether it's they're not allowed to do it anymore because some of these games are like they get these due to rights of music and whatnot. They they won't allow them to do them past a certain amount of time. And we can't play that one. We can't play it anymore. My daughter came up for the weekend and wanted to do some racing, and couldn't. I said, I don't know what's going on. This grill is just weird. Maybe that's why this thing wrecked. It had lights on it that didn't make any sense. Yeah, but some people like that's all they do is play a video game. And I'll be honest with you, they're fun. They put me in a bad mood as a general rule because just think about it. You're constantly solving problems, right? And as soon as you solve a problem, there's another thing you haven't fixed. Whatever it is, whether you're on a mission or something like that, and you're just like it gets exhausting. It gets exhausting to have to do all this stuff and for whatever reason. Okay, little headlamps on the bottom here. And they're a fun distraction, but that's it. I play them a lot more than I used to. I mean, I used to play them a lot more than I do now. My interest in spending more than like an hour on it in one session is like nothing. I'm just not really big into that. Okay, let's go back to the taillights. Let's bring these up a level. They're wrecked cars, but the headlights and the taillights are in great shape. And a lot of video games, they rush you. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm rushed way too much at work. And probably the thing that's the most frustrating about work. It's not that I want to take my time, but I see everybody else taking their time and I'm rushed. So I really don't want to be rushed or have a moment to like I can't catch my breath. Now, by doing it in this order, I'm running the risk of when I dry brush the weathering that I may end up trashing some of the stuff that I just did. But I'm going to run that risk because these lights shouldn't be in good shape to begin with. So why did I wreck these cars? Well, they just were make-believe, and we're not doing these with cars that look legit. I did feel a little bad about it, but it was either that or I wasn't going to use them at all. So now those wrecks, they could be in every game. There we go. If you look at a red tail light, there's like different areas of them where there's bulbs underneath them that shine. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to paint them like there's something underneath there. Just something like this. Yeah. This light's running interference against me. It's simple. It's not too complicated. And the front headlights, we're not done with them yet. But a lot of these front headlights are like, what do they call? They call it projector headlights. There's actually a bulb in there. And then there's this assembly over it that's usually clear. Like, how the hell do you paint that? Right? You can't paint the whole thing. Like, it's not that way. So what I've started doing is paint it like a dark gray and then put the place where the actual headlights are in there. And it works for me. I did it on the Ford Focus, and it turned out really well. Or I was happy with it. I should say that. I'm happy with it. This guy, man, I love painting this. This is the original color it came in. But none of these taillights or even the Ford symbol were included on there. So imagine that spot where you see the taillights and even the blinkers, that was completely green. The whole thing was absolutely green. You had the graphics of the RS on it and the striping, but that's it. Everything else on the vehicle was completely green, including the little RS logo, which they included it on there. It's three-dimensional. And sorry for the video being backwards, but it is. I didn't want to fire up the computer and reroute it that way. We're just doing kind of a quick session. But all of this, the detail's there. They molded the detail on the actual die cast. They just decided not to paint it. Now the front, look at the front. The front has those type of headlights where it's basically there's a headlamp hidden in there, several inches below the surface of the headlamp, which is just basically like a clear cover. So you got to find a way to paint that, and I think this worked all right. I was happy with it. So, a lot of these cars have really good detail. It's just whether or not they decided to paint it on there. And sometimes they put like decals on them. Like, where's this little Chevrolet truck? And this is a $1 truck. This is a decal. That's a decal for the headlamp. So we're going to leave that the hell alone. Just like this is a decal that says Chevrolet. We'll leave that the hell alone, right? I have another Chevrolet truck that actually has Chevrolet engraved on it in 3 dimensions. So we painted those letters. But this is just a flat decal. But most of them don't have. I don't know why they decided to do this. It's fine, But Anyhow, back to this. Did we do the tail lights? Yeah, we're done with the tail lights. All right, now back to the front. Now, let's get a thinner brush and a lighter silver. And these, on the other hand, are make-believe vehicles. These are, who knows what the heck they're supposed to be here, inspired by. There we go. There's that mixing ball. Yeah, but that Ford Focus, that's one of my favorite ones. Now, I prefer to do Gaslands vehicles or vehicles that look like the real vehicle. Like, it's based on a real vehicle. So I want to paint it like a real vehicle. And then, oh, by the way, they happen to put guns on it. Not just some random thing with random stuff on it. But that's, my choice. I suspect I'm in the minority. I suspect most people are like, hey, this would be really cool if there was like a chainsaw coming off of the roof. Or, 4 flamethrowers on the front. And then you use it in the game and like, man, this thing ought to be badass. You use it in the game and it has none of those weapons. You're like, man, what the hell? I got gypped. Like, no, it's just BB. I don't want to go that way. I want to see what you see is what you get. I suspect I'm in the minority. But, I did it for specific reasons. I want to paint a lot of these vehicles. And my incentive to paint a lot of these vehicles is to, not put all of my dreams in one vehicle, so to speak. Like, man, I really wish I could have something with an explosive ram. Well, put that on there too. I said, no. How about make a vehicle legitimate according to the rules? And then if you don't have space for an explosive ram, put it on the next vehicle. But that's my personal choice. Like I said, I suspect from this pictures that I've seen of people online, I'm definitely in the minority. Most people just lump things on there, and that's fine. It's your therapy. It's your world. You do it how you see fit. All right, the front of this. There we go. We'll put the little semicircle on the bottom. A little white dot on top. And we're going to make these interior lights orange on this one. I know, I'm putting a lot of detail on this stuff, and it's like, dude, it's a wreck, man. Chill out with it. Like, I know, but it's fun. First thing to go is the little tabs. We just need a little bit. Old school orange. What is this? Fiery orange? Fiery orange. At the rate that I'm using more orange now than I've ever used it, but it's all on blinkers. Good morning, Justin. What's happening? What happened? Figured I'd try to make up for last night that I was unsuccessful. I was unsuccessful in staying awake. I had to stay at work too long. It just threw everything off. Just a little something like that. Now, this vehicle that has a front that is just messed up looking. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some blinkers to it. Maybe make it look a little bit more believable. I'm going to put them right here. There's too much damn space on that car anyways. I was saying that's one of the things I dislike about electric vehicles is they don't have grills, and it looks weird. It looks weird to have not have grills. That'd be like all of a sudden like somebody like cut off their toes. It would be weird. Like, even if you can get around, it'd be weird to not have toes. You know, it's just one of those things. It just now this is like I said, this is a weird ass vehicle. I don't know what the hell this is inspired by, but it looks like it's a four-door car, but the window in back is split in half. Very, very strange, almost stagecoach like. Very, very strange. Like that station wagon from Vacation. It just has way too many headlights on it. I don't know, Justin, should I feel bad about crashing these cars? Let's see if I can get away with something. Because the door jambs on this thing don't really pop out. What if I use real paint instead of this watery stuff? And the only reason I'm saying is because it's right here. And these crevices are really, really deep. Looks like it. Bonjour. Let's see. It's almost time for it'll be almost time for my third croissant if I lived in France. Good. Early afternoon, late morning, early afternoon. I was going to make a French team too, but there aren't that many. There aren't that many French cars to choose from, and they all kind of look the same. I'm not saying all French cars look the same. The ones that I found as Matchbox, they only make a couple different ones, and they all look very similar to each other. I may still do that. I may still do that, but I had a couple of them in my hand, and I'm like, man, these things look the same from each other. They're these really small vehicles. I need to find an old Le Car. A Le Car would be a great Gaslands vehicle. A buggy, that actually would be a great Gaslands vehicle. I remember when those things were all over the place. They had the sunroof that was just a tarp, you know? It was your birthday last night. Okay, you had 4 Samuel Adams beers. Don't even feel like I drank. Oktoberfest ones, too. So, Sam Adams makes, you know, and sometimes you'll have a great beer of one brand of something and you try it again and it's not very good. But I remember having, I want to say it was called Winter Ale. And it was excellent. And it was on tap. It was excellent. Yeah. If I had 4 beers, I'd feel like crap today. Beer, for whatever reason, just, especially late. If I'm going to have beer, let's do it in the morning. Or let's do it early. I have a processing disorder with alcohol, I think. Well, I'd get a massive headache. Same thing with sugar. If I go and I have if I was to have Halloween candy, which I didn't have any, but if I was to have Halloween candy, You know, I'd have one piece and like, oh, now I got to have 12. And then the next morning I'd feel terrible. Okay, I think we need to go back to the headlamp situation here. Yeah, I don't hate beer, it hates me. I gotta be careful or I'll get a headache. That doesn't seem to be affected by like Advil or whatever. You just kind of have to write it out. Okay. And then we'll do something with this make-believe car. All right. Now let's get to weathering and see what we can make of these things. Now the bottoms of these are here somewhere, you know, out and about somewhere. All right, let's get the culprits out here, which are chocolate brown, U.S. field drab, and Iraqi sand. All right, or what's called Iraqi sand. I doubt that's just a random name. That'd be like Florida sand, you know, like, well, it depends on which beach. Oh, and happy birthday. Did you have to work yesterday? Man, I hate working on your birthday. But it could be worse. You take the day off to be on your birthday, then you have to clean shit up on the day after your birthday. So, I think last year my birthday was like on a Wednesday or something stupid. Or this last year, and I'm like, I'll just work on it. Well, I don't know when my 3D things are coming in. Of course, they were messed up by the whole Veterans Day. Anytime you mail order something, you realize how many days the post office has off. I think every single month, with the exception of August, I could be wrong, has some kind of federal holiday. It's invariably when you order something, there's always some damn day that they don't deliver that messes everything up. It was slow. What's up, Wolfman? Out for a walk. Right? Lunch break. Unless it's one of those, what do you guys call those things? Postal holiday? Bank holidays. A bank holiday. This is going to be dirtier than most. We are going to do rust, and we're going to do quite a bit. But I don't want one of those rust hulks, you know, where it's like just spray everything black and dry brush it with rust color. That's not my thing. Man, it hasn't been slow at work since 2009, something like that. I don't usually add this mud color to the top, but maybe that's what I ought to do different with it. is we'll dry brush some of these dark colors on it. Especially this bright ass thing. Well, we got to get the inside too. That's going to be visible. And this is bright as hell. In the kitchen on break for a few minutes. All right, man. Well, I appreciate having a few minutes of your time. I tried getting on last night. Of course, you were asleep already, but hopefully. And I just couldn't stay awake. It was too late. It was my day to stay late at work. And there's one day a week. That's the day for me is Wednesdays. Yeah, this looks kind of corrosion-ish. All right, and then the car is in the best shape, supposedly. Oh, no, I have work today. It's just later. I went to sleep last night at 9. I tried to paint and I couldn't get anywhere. So I told my wife, I'm going to bed. And if I wake up at 4, which I did, on my own, no alarm, then I'm going to go do my show. So that's what happened. And that's why I'm here. Woke up at 4, but didn't get out of bed until like 4:30. I gave it a fair shot. Oh, I'm not going back to sleep. Screw this. Oh, I'm not going to struggle then. No work today on a Thursday. That would suck. Unless I get tomorrow off too. I don't think I'll be taking any days off anytime soon. Work is just out of fucking control, especially from now until Thanksgiving. It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen in 30 years. In over 30 years. It's absurd. So. It's a conspiracy to turn us all into alcoholics. Well, it's not going to work on me. It's not working on me. Because the last thing I want when I leave work is to fall asleep. Okay, so that's the first shade, or the first color. Let's go to, and it's a lot more than I normally would do. But, these guys have been sitting here, a while. And we did use legitimate cars, but these are definitely third tier cars that were sent to me. What do you sell at the place of your work that makes it busy this time of year? Well, it's stuff made of concrete, but it's not necessarily this time of year. It's this year. Everybody's just been sitting on their ass. We have a lot of projects that are really, really big, and they don't end, or they'll be like, "Hey, send me some of this," and instead of like letting it go out, they're like, "Okay, we got to stop. We ran into a problem," and then they start up and they start it all up at once. And a busy day for us is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about high 20s of truckloads a day. And we were already busy, and this one job of high 20s dropped on top of it. So we're like close to 50 loads. Next week is going to be just fucking hell. But whatever. Enough of that. Maybe I'll die over the weekend. Don't have to worry about it. Ha! I got to think positive. And we just had a lot of people, it looks like it just didn't plan. Like, hey, I need this in a week. I'm like, can't do it. Can't do it. Not this week. Everybody fell into that same category. So, I don't know that I'm going to be 100% happy with how this turned out, but it's too early to judge. I don't think that there's anything like seasonal about work. Like this season's slow and the other one isn't. Not here in Florida. It's not like, well, we got to get everything in before the snow falls because then we can't move. No, we don't have that. I feel like at one point summers were busier. They wanted to get a lot of like work done while the kids were out of school, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't really see a trend in 30 years, so. I have not painted the crushed car. It's going to be awesome. The one that's legitimately crushed, I have not. No, it's not. It's prime, but we haven't gone there yet. I'm waiting for my weapons to come in. I'm waiting for my Rams to come in. And they said the expected delivery time when I ordered it was between November 10th and the 19th. And it shows it's not even shipped yet. So I don't think that we're going to make. I think I gave him too big an order. Him. Yes, I assumed it was a dude. So I'm out of Rams. I got a couple things I can't do the wambulance on until they come in. It's okay, that's why we're working on this. Yeah, the crushed car is going to be awesome. It's going to be a crushed car that's literally that runs though. We'll call it Wrecked It Ralph or something for now, but we can do better than that. Haven't really put a whole lot of thought into it till I know how it's going to be armed. We want to give these cars at least the same kind of attention that we've given the other ones, or it's just not going to look believable. But I needed to get some hobbying done. It was annoying and I went to sleep when I didn't want to. I was absolutely exhausted. I mean, shit, I could still do this another hour. I'm going to try to. Or at least, be able to knock these three guys out, which is really what I wanted to do last night. All right, we're going to stop there on this. Ronald, welcome. Early morning here in the East Coast. All right, let's get Tony's tones out. Soft tone, which I was not able to repurchase because they changed the nomenclature on them. So, I wanted these same colors again, and I tried to find a link on the fly of which color translates into which one, because they changed the names of them, and I wasn't able to, so I just didn't get any of them. Not that I'm out of these, but I don't want to run out. I would be painting cars in my basement for days. What's a basement? I've never lived in a house with a basement, but I've always lived in places. Well, I lived in 3 years in Alabama in the late 70s as a kid. We didn't have a basement there either. I've never had a basement. Never had a basement, never had a bonus room. I mean, I like the natural light. I don't know if I'd want to be in a basement all day. I like the natural light. You just have to tune some of it out, because it messes up with if you have too many different light sources, it's an issue. Yeah, let's clean these guys up, which we've never done this to. I got about half a bottle of each of them. I'm probably good for 6 months on these, maybe even longer. I was already in the store. I had to go to one store to get the strong tone. They didn't have the dark tone. I went to the other one that had dark tone, not strong tone. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, cool. Let's get some water. The universal thinner. These things thin so well with water. I have some cars and trucks that need some work done to them. The Mega Millions is at 959 million. I'm good with 1 million. What are you using to put them back together? So these probably won't be put back together because of wrecks. I use a hot glue gun. I'm a big fan of epoxy, but epoxy it's a pain to wait for it to dry, etc. So the hot glue gun has done wonders for me. And I didn't have a hot glue gun until 2 years ago. And man, that is a useful item. And the nice thing about the hot glue gun is it doesn't really make a mess. If you get some stringy bits, you just remove those. So that part's really friendly. And if it comes apart, you can peel off the old glue and re-glue it, unlike epoxy. Although epoxy probably wouldn't come apart in the first place. But, you always waste so much stuff when you use epoxy. Oh, these two colors bled together. Oh, well, it's not that important. I kind of use these to make a little bit of a different mix, so it's not the same rust color every time. Let's get the one that's the most destroyed here. This, for paint, I use pretty much, I'm leaving them in the original color. Something like this. This is the original. This is the original Focus color. It came all like this. I just had it headlamps, and none of those headlamps were painted. What I do is I clear coat them in a flat clear, and then we add a wash of strong tone, a War Painter strong tone. Sorry it's backwards, but I didn't want to fire up the whole computer just to flip the video. You'd think it'd be easy to do, but It's not if you're doing it straight from not if you're doing straight from the phone onto YouTube. And I start from there. That's literally where I start. I used to strip them. And I'm like, it's a lot of extra work just to pick the color I want it to be in. I'm like, I'm not that picky. And then you end up like destroying the graphics. Like these are, if I repainted this, these RS graphics, they're not going to go back on the next car. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool, you know? Where are you getting the paint from? I don't think I need any. I just, online if I need any, but I already had. Let's see if I can flip this video. Can I flip this? Yeah. Yeah, we got enough paint here. You know, why you got so much paint? I said, well, I sold a lot of stuff for my hobby. And then I just put the monies into paint. So, and you really don't go through that much paint. But there's several places that have Vallejo paint. I don't really need to buy. Sometimes you got to refresh like the three colors for weathering. I'll go through some, but pretty much the other colors, you don't go through that much paint. I primed all these vehicles, and I used, you know, 3/4 of a cap full of the primer. You pretty much have to mail order everything. The places just don't exist anymore. It's you can't go to hobby stores anymore. They just don't exist. Yeah, it works for me pretty good. Well, and this is really kind of done on the cheap, okay? Because this is just an IKEA desk. They don't make it anymore, but it's an IKEA desk. And then over here, I've got another desk that we can crank that one up. It's got a crank over here, and we can adjust the level up and down. So these are the things in waiting. This is normally where I would keep the computer, but I've got I've got a thing here for it. But anyhow, 20 hobby stores in San Antonio. Do any of them speak English? Not that that's an issue for me, you know. San Antonio's too big, man. It's too big a town. I can't live there. People are too nasty to each other in a town that big. That's the issue. People are too nasty to each other. Shit, I don't even go to Miami anymore. Land of nastiness. Nah, they just have a lot of the same stuff. You know, you got 20 stores. How many of the stores have stuff you're interested in, Hoffman? Probably not that many. You have a hobby shop in the town of Port Huron. I don't have any hobby stores in town. We have to go 30 miles away to go to a place that has a hobby store. And they unfortunately don't carry anything that I'm interested in. So I pretty much have to mail order. However, that town does have that old school, vintage toy store. I need to go in there one time and do a video. You guys want to see that? And I even asked the guy, I said, listen, I got a YouTube channel. I want to promote you, not because I want you to pay me any money, but I still want you to be, I told him, I said, look, I want you to be around, So, I got over 2,000 subscribers. It's not a lot, but I'm like, I don't mind promoting your store. Do you guys do any online sales? And he's like, no. I'm like, oh, it's probably pretty difficult with that, but the place is super cool. And what's really cool about the place is it's very organized. A lot of these places have cool things in them, but it's all over the place. It's just like, it's an exercise in chaos. And I just don't do well in those environments. This is about as messy as I want this to be. It's just distracting. I'm not a neat freak or anything. It's distracting. All right, let's start with that, and we may have to come back and do a second pass on it. Amazon killed the hobby. Well, it's kind of like a catch-22. I think that video games killed the hobby shop, because I think video games give some people don't do hobbies like they used to anymore. And it's like a catch-22, right? You go to a store, Best Buy. Let me give you an example of Best Buy, right? I used to go to Best Buy a lot. But you go to Best Buy, and I'm like, I went several years ago, we'll say 7 years ago. I went to Best Buy's. I wanted a microphone. I when I was starting to film my DBA videos, I wanted to get lapel mics for. I didn't have this phone, and I didn't have this phone has a really good microphone on it. I don't know if you guys can hear me okay, but it's a pretty good microphone compared to some of the other ones. But I wanted to get lapel mics so we could do our filming. So I go to Best Buy to see what options they have. They have only one, and it is their own generic brand, and it's a piece of crap, and it costs more than anything else online that are name brands. So I didn't buy it. It's kind of like catch-22. It's like they don't have the products, so people don't buy them, so they go online, so they're not going to carry the products. It's like, it's the same way that Redbox killed Blockbuster, and now, the online streaming. I don't remember last time I did a Redbox. Well, I gotta ask next time I'm down there. I gotta go ask guy permission. I don't want to be like, hey, let me come into your house and like. I mean, it's his area. It's his area. And I gotta do it when there aren't a bunch of weirdos in there. There's weirdos at a vintage toy shop. Oh fuck yeah. I'm not talking about nerdy people. Like I've said before, everybody's nerdy to one degree or another. I'm talking about people that are like, man, how does this person have a job? Well, they might not. They might just live with mom. Their mom's live-in boyfriend. But these things are $1. Well, this is probably a bad example. These aren't great. They're not bad, but the tier one cars, they're $1 or just a little bit more. Well, at this place, they're $1. You buy a new one, they're like what, $1.24 or something like that. You go to this vintage place, they're $1 a piece unopened. Yeah, they got some $5 ones too, but you don't need to get those. And they have a lot of detail on them where you could spend hours working on them. That's a cheap investment. That's a cheap investment. And you could tell that I'm going through these pretty fast, but I need to go through them pretty fast because as you can see, I have a few waiting on me. So I got probably a couple hundred. Not to mention these. See, this buddy of mine sent me some. It's like, dude, do not send me any more cars. Like that does not. We all work differently, and if you give me too much stuff to work on, I like tune out. I'm like, okay, that's too much. Don't give me too much work, especially since I'm not retired. Retired people don't need to give me anything to work on. I got plenty to do. We are cranking through these, but I'm not going to speed up how much I need to do because I don't read these cars. I think I'm in the 30s now. Like I've got like 30 cars done. I'm like, We don't need more cars to play the game. They're just fun to do. And what's really working well is having people just randomly get whichever one they play. Not like pick which one. I mean, at this point, you could probably let people pick. I don't want people to pick them because then I don't want people to play the same damn car every time. They'll find some gimmick way of playing it, and that's how they do it. Like, that kind of shit turns me off. So these in particular, I used a mallet. I've got like a metal mallet that's the head on it is about that big, and I just beat on it. Actually, what was really useful is one of the ends comes to a tip-ish. It's still rounded, and that one is because the problem is these cars are they're supposed to be car sized, and they're supposed to crumple more than the actual car can. So we've got some other ones that we're going to try that on, but I actually worked pretty well. Um, it worked pretty well with a hand mallet. I still don't love doing it. I don't feel good about destroying shit. But I'm like, I'm never going to build these as cars. So like, all right, we can destroy them and they can be in every game, as things to run into, or we can just never build them. So there's your choice. And I don't want to just paint them rust and you're done with it. Like I want to like legitimately like make them look like cars. One of the biggest driving forces for me right now in this game is that I'm supplying everything. So like I like how the game looks. When I was doing the World War II stuff, that's one of my things. Like I'm tired of seeing these games that look awesome, and I got to play with people that use felt. I'm like, we're not doing that. We're going to supply everything, and the game's going to look, super quality. It may not be important to anybody but me, but it is important to me. So, and I'm not rushed. We got plenty of stuff to work on. Now I can just kind of work on things as I want to. I think this is the last time I got together with Mitch. Last time I got together with Mitch, there was like 6 cars he hadn't used. And in the game we played, we only used 2 of them. So there's 4 of those he hasn't even seen yet. And since then I got another 8. So it's like, I'm getting we don't have any problem with running out of stuff, What do? You play a game called Gaslands. Let me promote the game, even though the picture's going to be back asswards. Actually, I'll just flip the camera. How about that? This is available on pretty much anywhere. Amazon. I think you can get it in download. I think you can get it in digital format. Let's see. Let's flip this thing up. Here we go. And yeah, it's a car game with Matchbox cars. Post-apocalyptic vehicular mayhem. It's from Osprey Games. So I've never blown anything up with firecrackers. I have lit things on fire, but I haven't done that since like 1982. I lit some army men on fire, and I won't do that again. That's toxic crap. I lit some army men on fire in the middle of a pile of pine needles. Flammable. That's what little boys do. It's either that or they play with dolls. I didn't play with dolls, so. Oh, one of the things I was talking about the other day, I touched on it, and then I didn't get to finish my sentence, and it took me 2 days to realize I didn't get to finish my sentence. Is as a kid, one of the toys that I had that I really liked, and it was a really cool toy, is Stompers. And the Stomper tanks were really cool. And if you could find a Stomper tank that is in good shape, they're trying to sell them for a bit of money. Notice how I worded that. That doesn't mean anybody's buying them, but they're for a bit of money. Did we do all of it? I feel like this one didn't get any of the treatment. This bright ass freaking color. Mad Max Fury Road. Are those movies worth watching? I haven't seen any of them. I saw Death Race. I may have even seen two of those. I tried watching the original Mad Max. I just waited too long to see it. It was very 70s like. I can't watch TV and do this hobby. Otherwise, I would have seen more things. Even with something like basic like this, I can't do it. All right, we'll let that thing dry. Well, let's get the focus out of here. That's in good shape. You got your brother hooked on 3D Botmaker. It's freaking amazing. He could use a better figure painter. I'm just saying, you know. I've said if he lived in Florida and not California, I would have reached out to him and said, hey, listen, I'll paint some figures for you for free. I don't know if that would have worked out. I'm still disappointed there's not a 2D, though. That it's not two people sparring. That's a shame. But again, as good as it is, it's edited. You know, it's the comments happen after the fact. I mean, they have to. Um, so then you wonder, well, what else is edited? You know, did they not get the result that they wanted, so they ran the race several times? I mean, I don't know. You just, you know, you add layers of questioning. It's fun as hell, man. Did you see that one recently where the car like flew over two other cars? It's crazy. That is a shitload of work that he does. That is a shitload of work. That's a lot of editing for 10 minutes of glory. And I love it when they run into the crowd. When the vehicles run into the crowd and they plow a bunch of people over. Not real people, little 1/64th scale little bastards. Yeah, 3D Bot Maker's really. I can't believe he doesn't have 1 million subscribers yet. He should. And I've tried to watch other people that do kind of what he does, and they just don't even come close. At least the ones I've seen don't even come close. Like they're not worth watching. Saw a car jump past. That's one of those things that if it wasn't caught in camera, would have never believed it. Yeah. Well, there's so many times in this last series that he's doing the RBX, the off-road ones. The funniest ones I've seen though are the demolition derbies. The comments on the demolition derbies are really, really funny. But there's a couple times on that back stretch before it straightens out to the final one where there's this long sweeping curve. And there's so many times that you'll see a vehicle that will come around and it does this little wiggle like it's drifting, and another car will come in and pass it on the inside. It just looks legit. Like it's like that's really freaking cool. That's really cool. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things. And all the crazy Jimmy stuff, you know, it just He's got a good thing going for him. But the guy, I think I read sometime, Ariel, he can't figure out if he speaks Spanish or not. I think he's got some kind of Spanish in him. But anyhow, he does video editing for a job. So that part, even though it's a shitload of work, I'm sure it comes a lot easier to him than it would be like someone like me. Not that I would do stuff like that, but that's a lot of effort. Like I gotta paint all this stuff, right? This is my therapy. Working on videos is not therapeutic. It's the opposite of therapeutic. So for him, it's probably a lot easier. He's already, you know, practicing how to do stuff at work and things like that. He can practice skills while he's at work, while he's getting paid, kind of thing. Like I've got multiple cameras I could use. I just don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into that and edit them and try to splice them together. And I got this one video editor. It's like free. Oh, it's called, what is it called? DaVinci Resolve or something like that. It takes forever to download. It's too fucking complicated. It's too complicated. There's too many fine little things you can do to it. It's like, look, I'm not going to make commercials for NBC. I just want the basic stuff. So that's why I use the video editor that I do, and it's directly on my phone. And the phone's powerful enough to do it. But that probably comes natural to him. All right, that's looking pretty decent. Now, once we seal it, you hate video. I don't hate the video editing. I hate okay, this is how I want it. All right, now go crunch it. There's so much, it's just the land of failure at that point. Breaking it into packets or whatever. It calls it exporting. It's not exporting anything. It's getting ready to export. The export part is okay. It's the getting all the paperwork done to export it that's the problem. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. And again, you work on something like this, and maybe it takes a long time to do it, but you're constantly moving towards the goal. When you're working on computer stuff, it's like, let me try this. Oh, it didn't work. What do I have to show for it? Nothing but frustration over time. It's like, I just don't have the personality for that. And I don't want to have the personality for that. Same person has a personality for that. I don't know how you could sit there and paint something for 4 hours. I don't know how you could waste 4 hours on something that nothing happens on. All right, this starting to look pretty happy with this. Pay more attention to this car than anybody's ever has. Well, no, it's got to look legit to me. I should have probably repainted this neon ass orange. Maybe if I was younger, but those programs were crazy expensive when I was a kid. Yeah, and they're very glitchy, very 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 glitchy. The one that I use on my phone is rock solid, and even though you have to pay for it every year, It's just easy to use. Like I know how to edit a video. Like I want this to start, I want this to fade, I want the music to start, I want the music to go up, I want it to fade into something else, I want to transition. Like you already know how to do that stuff. If you watch commercials for, as long as we've watched commercials for, you know how to do all that stuff. But you shouldn't make it so fucking difficult. To be like, where is it? I can't find it. It's under this 12 pull downs. Well, what's this one do? This one does, it adds a green screen that flips it upside down. Like you don't need all that crap. Like I don't need, like you gotta master, you can't be like, okay, here's all the tools to run a marathon. Like, dude, I can't even crawl. Like, focus on crawling. I haven't messed with any green screen stuff or voice box things or any of that stuff. Yeah, if I was going to do something like that, which I'm not going to, I would have to get, if I was going to say do a 3D Botmaker race, which I'm not going to, but if I did something along those lines with that kind of commentary, I would have to get Mitch in on it. And I just can't make up a make-believe person. It's kind of like, dude, you need some friends. I don't know. It's a missed opportunity to get somebody else. I can't carry all the weight of the conversation. I'd want somebody else like involved in that. I think these are ready to like seal. I haven't decided whether I'm going to have an undercarriage on them or not. I do have the two other undercarriages. It could be just like, all right, well, this is how it's, they just stacked like this as a wall, you know? I think those are good to go. No, Mitch is too lazy to do anything. Mitch doesn't even type things on his phone. So if he does like a search, he doesn't type anything on his phone. He speaks into it. So like, there's no hope for him, Adobe Premiere. I've heard horrible things about the Adobe products. I've just heard about them, The one I use on the phone is called KineMaster. It's spelled KineMaster, Kine. And that one, it's really easy to use. It's really easy to use. As it should be. It's as difficult to use as it should be. It should be more difficult than that. All right, so we got these 3 wrecks done. I'm not done yet. Like I still got another 15 minutes. Let's what can we work on? Well, I know we're not going to put armor on this thing. This is Marty's truck that he's got. This is my truck. He wants to use it. I ought to make it real shitty and make him use a shitty truck. I'm not going to do that. Let's add some black lining to it. Let's seal these freaking those wheels for starters. This is a Maesto, Colorado. I did not take it apart on purpose because there's nothing to take apart on it. I actually was going to, and then I realized that the roots are so damn deep in the body that it would just take me forever wrestling with that. So I'm like, I'm not even gonna mess with that. So we're gonna add some black lining to this thing while we can. It's gonna be a rocket truck. It's gonna be a primarily rocket-equipped vehicle. And, this thing was shiny as all get out. So we dulled it, and then we added a brown wash to it. To go over to Mitch's house, go live, and show off his finished models. He doesn't have any finished models. Gonna get going. Woke up crazy this morning. It's finally time to start the day. All right, man. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you. Mitch has terrible lighting at his home. Well, it's not terrible, but it sucks compared to what we have here. I just can't get over to his house. His work schedule is so polar opposite of what mine is. It's difficult. Like I have a pretty much regular, work schedule. He's like, he's off 2 days a week. They're Monday and Tuesday, which are like my most difficult days to get off. And I think on Mondays he's not available because he's like babysitting his grandson or something like that. The problem with doing live there is that he doesn't have good home internet. Well, it's not terrible, but it's going to run really glitchy. So I don't think I'm going to even try to do live games over there. I may film some, but then they just won't be live. But I'm not a computer guy. Like, and I managed to film some videos. He's got a phone that's powerful enough to do it. He just don't want to do it. He's just lazy. I don't know. It's fine if he don't want to do it. But I don't know that anybody has made DBA videos since I stopped making them. And if a fool like me can figure out how to do it, I'm sure other people that are, more into that can do it. But one of my main reasons for doing it is because they're fun. I didn't want the game to die. Now I don't care. Like, okay, I've done all this, and people still aren't interested in the game a lot. I mean, some people are, but I'm like, fuck it, it's holding me back from doing other stuff. Now this game, I'm not necessarily going to run it the way that the rules intend it to. If we see something wrong with the rules, we're going to play it our own way. And we haven't seen much that way, but one of the difficult things about filming this is that it involves getting what's going on the board in view, and it also involves looking at people's their little car sheet, and you can't be in two places at once, So it's not as easy as it looks. It's cold again tonight, isn't it? This morning. Well, cold for here. I mean, not too cold for me. And the most annoying thing about it being cold is parking outside and having to defrost your car some bit. I park in the garage, so I'm ready to rock and roll as soon as the door rolls up. Now we'll repaint the front headlights. We'll do a better job than what the makers of this toy did. I don't really fault them. The kid's just going to get this and break it and crash into stuff, 35 degrees in Michigan, I'll trade you. It's about that cold right now. Why, it's too cold for you? You like the cold weather. You're not a cold weather sissy. What I hate is the heater. Man, there's no reason to have the heater in Florida. Put on some damn clothes. 2 mornings ago, it was 20. It was under freezing. What was it, 29 or something like that? It's fine. Now, our 29 is colder than your 29 because it's wet. Well, yours might actually be wet as well, but out west, 29 out west is like 55, maybe 50. It's just not cold. It doesn't penetrate you. You like 8 degrees. There you go. I wouldn't want to deal with snow, shoveling and all the other stuff that goes with it. But temperature-wise, no problem. That's when I want to be outside. Yeah, this is going to be primarily rocket equipped. I don't know how. I don't know how because I kind of want to use could just put a big old fucking bomb on it. A rear ram, and it's like a freaking bomb like that. It'd fit in the bed, wouldn't it? No. We could have to make it fit in the bed. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and scrub it since we're kind of at a stopping point. But yeah, thanks for coming by, folks. We'll get these clear coated tomorrow, or actually later today. I might just wait until this guy's done too and then do all 4 of them. But looks pretty good. I just left the glass on there. It works, All right, folks, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.